Good morning, it's the 21st of February, it is a Friday. I am currently sitting here. I've got half an hour to prepare for an exam I have to sit today. I'm a little nervous, but super excited. I think I'm optimistic I'm going to pass. I still have to eat some brekkie and do a few other preparation activities before the exam commences. After that, I'm going to go and check out, there's a pop-up, like special edition Canberra-based bookstore that's literally in my neighbourhood, about 10 minutes away. So as a celebration for passing my exam, I'm going to go and check out this bookstore, which apparently one of the girls in my Canberra book club co-own. My whole like, I'm not going to buy books this year because I'm going to Babe is not going so well this month. I did really good in January and I've just spent so much money on books this month. Once I get back from the book stall, I do have a couple of hours of work I need to catch up on prior to I've got 100 pages left of thank you for listening. I stayed up far too late reading this last night. We had a big confrontation, and as much as our FMC made some really frustrating choices, but they made complete sense. Because this is one of the travelling book club books where we've got each girl has a different colour that she's reading. It's a really fun experience to see different people's commentaries. The two girls who had read it before me were getting annoyed at the MMC for his choices. I was getting annoyed at the FMC for her reaction. Even though both of those choices I do think were completely justified within it. Surprisingly liking this a lot more than I thought I was going to. It's a really good pick. Glad I'm reading it. I want to finish that tonight. I reckon I can squeeze out All Better Now by Neil Shusterman, his new release, before the readathon for Babe starts next week. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. Alright, I have 24 minutes before my exam. I need to go and stop jabbering. I need to eat and prepare. Wish me luck. I'll let you know if I pass. My exam. It was like a fractional pass, but a pass is a pass. So I've just gotten dressed. I'm gonna go and hit the gym. It's literally right above where they're planning on putting the bookstall. I've come to terms with the fact that I'm gonna be spending probably a substantial amount of money. I know they have a special edition of The Cock Down the Block and the rest of that series, which I'm really, really keen to read. That's probably coming home with me later today. Anyway, gotta clean up and let's go check it out.
I spent some money. The girls were lovely. Let's head home and I'll show you what I got.
They had a bunch of books there, and Lauren, who is one of the co-owners, she is a writer as well. So I had a look at a few of her books, one of which has been picked up for traditional publishing. My eye was on the Cocky Kingsman series. So I already have this paperback. Pretty much for 2 years, this series has been on my TBR. They have special edition copies. I had to take them home. So I'm gonna show you what I got today. First book is The Cock Across the Block. Oh my god, I love it. So they've added foiling. So they chose for this one, they chose to keep the original covers, but they do reformat some of the covers depending on various licensing issues. They've added foiling to the outside, stenciled edges on the inside, and really cute matching in pages. Book 2, The Wiener Across the Way. Book 3, The Pussy Next Door. The Anaconda Downstairs. This one makes me giggle. They all make me giggle. I've not really been one for special editions, especially ones I haven't read yet. But I had to make an exception. Come on. I might be entering my special edition era. Why do I bother going to work every day if not to spend money on things I like this? Good morning, it is Saturday the 22nd of February today. I'm feeling alright today. Feeling a bit sick all week. Last night I stayed up to finish Thank You for Listening, and I really enjoyed this one. It's part of my travelling book club, so we've got 7 girls who've each been assigned a colour, and we're sending the books around Australia over the next couple of months. We're due to finish up in June. I really liked that the romance of this almost wasn't the forefront of the book. Yes, the relationship between our leads is definitely the focus of the book, but it felt so grounded that our characters had personal hurdles that they needed to get over, not just for the relationship to grow between the two of them, but for their own benefit. I really was affected by the dementia storyline more than I thought I was going to be. My pa died last year because of the effects of dementia, and whilst I wasn't particularly close to him, particularly at the end, I witnessed my mum and other family members go through similar experiences to what was depicted in this book. And when I was telling Tej about it this morning, I was getting really affected and really choked up, and I think that just really goes to the strength of this writing. One of the girls mentioned that she found it a bit underwhelming because it was quite predictable. It's a fair criticism, but I feel like the swoon-worthy romance in this has this beautiful undercurrent of truth and authenticity to it. The romance genre is a fantasy in a way, and I feel like it's part of what that happily ever after, it's part of what brings romance readers comfort as we read. This has a happily ever after, don't get me wrong, but it just felt so authentic and truthful. I had a really good experience reading this, and I'm really glad that Tina picked this for her read in our travelling book club, because I would not have picked this up myself. So after that, I started and have read the first 50 pages of All Better Now. This is a really interesting read, and I feel like it is definitely taking advantage of our kind of universal experience of what COVID was like, and it works. I don't want to say too much, like, especially I was talking to Tej this morning, and she was like, don't talk to me, I don't want to know anything about what's in this. So in the first part, it's about 50-60 pages that I've read so far. We've met our three main characters and been introduced to the idea, the concept of this virus, and the potential social implications of what that might have. I reckon I'm going to take a break from reading for the next little bit. I'm going to make some lunch, watch some vlogs. I'll check in another 100 pages or so, and I'll let you know my thoughts. I finished part 3 and stopped for dinner. I am really liking this book. I generally like character-driven narratives. We're following 3 different characters, but I don't feel like we're particularly like exploring them. It's more what they represent within the context of the book. So we've got this virus that, very similar to COVID, is being spread quite rapidly across the globe. If you get the disease, you have one of 2 outcomes. You succumb to it, and that's that, or you come out the other side of the sickness and you have this like contentment and clarity and sheer desire to be good and to do good in the world. So what's really interesting, we've got 3 different characters who kind of follow 3 different perspectives on the outcomes of this disease. So we've got one girl who has, through circumstances, come into a role of power and wealth and influence, and she is essentially helping to fight these results of the disease, basically coming from the perspective that those who survive the illness have essentially changed. Then we've got someone who actively went out to catch the disease. They kind of represent, there's this group of people who, whether through mental illness or through grief, they can't deal with the burden that their emotions have on themselves. So we've got a few kind of random scenes, not necessarily from our characters, showcasing this. At the end of part 3, we've also introduced the concept of immunity and what that might mean for someone who desires this contentment and this happiness that is the result of having and surviving this disease. It's really interesting. So yeah, I'm not really connected to any of the characters, which is typically what I connect to in a book. But the greater ethical conversations that are going on as a result of this, and particularly I think that having recently gone through COVID, I think it's a story that we can all very much relate to. This isn't set in a distant future. This is set in a reality that could potentially happen. At the start of each part, they've had like one chapter that's just like a random scene from somewhere in the world. So we had like a man who was in the throes of grief. He was at his like work building or something, and he was about to throw himself out the window. Then we kind of see this all through the eyes of a local guard at this building. He walks out to the window basically, and he walks this guy down basically from the window. He says, look, don't let one moment of weakness define the rest of your life. If you still feel this way in 2 weeks, I will personally walk you back up to this window and I'll push you out of it myself. He pulls this guy in off the ledge, but then there's still sirens coming in. What we later learn is that other survivors of this virus had attempted to go out onto the ledge to talk him off before that, and had fallen to their deaths because they weren't doing so safely. I can't really say too much about the plot because there is kind of major spoilers, but having a plot like this that's so grounded in a reality, using terms that we have very recently experienced in our own lives to explore ethical, economical, pharmaceutical, whole bunch of different effects from the outcome of this disease in this book. It's currently 9 o'clock at night. I think I can definitely do at least one more part, which is where I wanted to get to today. Look, I am pretty tired. I can feel it in my eyes and in my voice. So I'm gonna leave you guys. I might do a check-in at the end of part 4. We just had like an interesting conflict at the end of part 5, but it still feels like things are kind of ramping up. We're literally halfway through. We'll start getting the plot points starting to mesh. That is enough for me. I'm really beat. It's time to sleep. And I'll pick this one up again tomorrow. Good morning. Time for tea, time for tea. About the day.
It's Marlo.
Yeah, it's just a maths exam. The reasoning was correct. They just got the wrong answer.
It's literally just a flashback. I could stare at it. It's like earlier in one of the books. It's like, Marlo, you've come. She's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Say why. Good afternoon. I thought I would do a morning check-in, but it's already 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I've read another 50 pages of All Better Now. Things are starting to move, the plot's starting to happen. There was a chapter with some really just interesting, insightful lines about the spread of this disease, which I've really enjoyed. But I have to put it down now. As much as I want to keep reading, I have book club. I have to make my dip that I'm going to bring to book club. I have to drive to book club. I also have to, I'm going to prep up a little bouquet, pretend silk flower bouquet for Tej because it's her closing night for her musical, and I've got half an hour to do it, as well as get dressed and head out of the house. But before I go, I have a couple of Amazon packages that turned up. These are both just to add to my collection. I thought I'd open them on camera. So first off, this was $6. Ali Hazelwood's Not in Love. Honestly, wasn't super keen on reading this one, but it was $6 and I've enjoyed most of the Ali Hazelwoods that I've read. And is a physical trophy of Fix Her Up. I loved this series. The third book actually has a character called Beth. I have already read the audiobook and loved it. I've got these in a Amazon wish list and I just kind of keep an eye on it, and it was on sale for $12. So this one's going into my trophy collection to sit along her Tessa Bailey sisters. I've got half an hour. I need to get up and go. So I'm still about 200 pages away from the end of All Better Now. I was really hoping to finish this one today because the Babe Readathon starts tomorrow and I really wanted to get into that one and get started. I think that's just going to have to push back a couple days for me. I'll be able to get another little bit, probably another 50 to 100 pages today. But whilst we're here, shall we open another bit of bookish mail? This is from my friend Ash over at Sunday Pages. She's like my favourite bookmark creator. I just love her stuff so much. Every launch she does, I always purchase something. My bookmark collection has just exponentially grown because she just makes the most beautiful things. If you want to go check her out, I don't get anything from it. She's just amazing. Go follow her at Sunday Pages on Instagram and check out her Etsy page. She's actually part of our travelling book club that I mentioned previously. I get to read her book soon. I think she's coming up in April. I'll go through what I purchased first, and then she did give me a little gift. Pretty much all of her books, she does multiple options for like how the bookmark can be done. I'm a tassel girl, so pretty much everything I get gets a tassel. So first off is just a pretty strawberry bookmark. I actually have quite a few fruity bookmarks. I don't have any strawberries, so I wanted to add them to my bookmark collection. This is my favorite from the launch, which is like an ethereal space setting, and I do read quite a bit of sci-fi, so this is going to be really good for a lot of my sci-fi reads that are coming up. I also noticed, which I haven't seen on any of them before, she's got a dual coloured tassel on this one. One of the genres I first fell in love with when I read was just gothic literature, and like, does this not scream gothic literature? I got the bow for this one instead of the tassel. And then the back is all like fungi and different flora and a couple of different bugs. I really thought this would be great for, there's one I want to read in October, Grave Matter by Karina Halley. I thought this, I literally purchased the bookmark for a book I'm going to read at the end of this year. But I'm sure that there'll be plenty of other books. This would also be really good in like Mexican Gothic. This would be a perfect book for Mexican Gothic. If you have read that one, you should go and buy this bookmark. And this is the freebie one that she gave me, which is really cute. We've got some cute like butterflies and moons, and then for the amount of books that I read, I spend way too much money on buying bookmarks to make sure I've got the correct one for any book that I'm reading. But you know what? This is why we work. This is why we work hard, is that we can support our hobbies hard as well. So I'm going to go and edit my March TBR, which will be out by the time that this already comes out, and then get onto a bit of reading before Tej gets home, and then probably just hang out with her for the rest of the evening. I'm thinking I probably won't do another check-in until I finish the book, because at this point it's just going to be full of spoilers, and I'm not really going to be able to talk about anything anyway. So I will see you in however many days it takes me to finish this book. It is Thursday the 27th of February today, and last night I finished All Better Now. It was one of those ones where I was kind of disappointed in the ending, and I went, look, it's not that I disliked the book, but I need to just sit with this for a bit and just see how I feel about it. I gave it 4 stars in the end. There's a few kind of false endings, and there's a lot that's left up to the interpretation of the reader to kind of decide what happens. There's some that's not so ambivalent, like, you know, kind of what happens, but it's almost like it's left open for a book 2, which is fair enough. You know, if Neil wants to write a book 2, like, I'll totally pick this one up. Because this isn't a character driven book, this is a book that's driven by plot, I kind of just wanted more answers from the plot rather than to be left with kind of open endings. So if you're someone who just needs your stories wrapped up neatly, this one is not going to be for you. I've been looking back at the footage of me reading through the series, and I keep saying the phrase really interesting. It's a boring description, but I do think it is the perfect way to describe this book. I genuinely think it's an interesting take on the experience that we had through COVID. The way that it explores all these different impacts on the world just through kind of micro scenes. So there's nothing that you stay through long term, but it does raise a lot of questions about ethics in particular, and I found it really interesting. I wish my brain had right-clicked thesaurus and I could come up with a better way to say that phrase. Whilst I had a bit of disappointment upon finishing it, I overall had a really good time. Was really at the end of it in the acknowledgements, apparently they're working on film rights. That would definitely be something that I would watch, but I can see the adaptation needing quite a bit of work because I can't see a film that's not character driven working. But then again, that movie Contagion was really good, and that wasn't a character-driven movie at all. If it ever comes to the screen, I'm definitely going to watch it. This is my first Neil Shusterman book outside of the Scythe universe. I do prefer that one. I think he does a much better job of having a character-driven novel, which is my personal preference. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!